The chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman. Good to see you. It's working. I'm glad it's working.
I know I'm a little underdressed today. I'm in my casual clothes. I'm working from home all day.
You look
Good
fabulous.
To see you.
I want to begin by thanking you and David Bossie and every member of the committee that made the selection for the third debate in Miami of the Salem Radio Network and NBC to co-moderate. But I really want to thank you for picking the Republican Jewish Coalition. It is a crucial and urgent time for the RJC's voice to be heard, because I think the anti-Semitic racism we see in the United States is astonishing. And I don't know what the RJC is going to ask. They're in charge of their questions like I'm in charge, or Salem's moderator is in charge of their questions. But I'm just so glad the RGC is there.
Yeah, me too. It was a game day decision. I mean, we had a different partner scheduled, and after everything that happened in Israel, I just got on the phone with that original partner and said, we need to shift and we need to go where the moment is and meet that moment. And I was just in Israel with the Republican Jewish Coalition. I went to Israel and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and the UAE to celebrate the Abraham Accords. I was with them to open the embassy in Jerusalem. And, what's upsetting to me, Hugh, is to see people say, gas the Jews, we hate the Jews, things that we are seeing across the world right now. It is reminiscent of the Holocaust and that phrase, never again. And to see this happening in our world again, it's not just about a political conflict about land. It is hate. It is hate-filled. And I just hope everyone knows the Republican Party does not stand for that. We don't let any bit of that under our tent, like you see with the Democrats, with Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. We condemn it wholeheartedly. We have chosen this partner to show our commitment to Israel, but also to Jewish Americans and Jewish people across the country, that we believe any type of religious intolerance is unacceptable.
Ronna McDaniel, the racism that is involved in these anti-Semitic incidents. Yesterday in Minneapolis, I saw with my own eyes, so I know it happened. A motorcyclist at a demonstration that was, quote, pro-Palestinian, was flying the Hamas flag. That is like flying the Nazi swastika. There isn't any doubt about this, and I hope our Jewish listeners understand the Republican Party is 100% with Israel in this battle. Do we have any fringe that isn't?
No, we don't, and we condemn them, right? So when we saw what happened in the horrific events of Charlottesville a few years ago, the RNC passed a resolution 100% condemning those anti-Semitic chants and the anti-Semitic behavior. And everyone needs to understand the charter of Hamas is to wipe the state of Israel off the earth and kill all the Jews. When people ask for a two-state solution, say they came to us and said, we need a two-state solution in the U.S., but the other party says, we don't believe you have the right to exist, and we believe all Jews should die. If that's what they're saying, how can you have peace through that? Israel has offered time and time again to do that, and it's Hamas who has been elected to lead the Palestinian people. That is their elected government. That is their charter, to kill all Jews. And everybody needs to understand that, and they showed that. We talk about what happened in Israel being 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. Yes, it is, but it's more because they intentionally tortured those families. They went and said, not only how do we kill them, how do we inflict as much torture and damage on mothers, on children, on grandmothers, Holocaust victims. It was intended to maximize pain and suffering, and that is their charter. And that is why we need to stand with Israel. And where is Hollywood? My goodness. Where are these liberal universities? Where is the woke world? Imagine if people were saying gas any other group in this country, they'd be up in arms. And where are they? Where are the leaders in the Democrat Party? They are failing right now, and the Republican Party is standing up, and we're really glad to partner with the Republican Jewish Coalition to show our unity with Israel at this critical time.
I want to spend one more moment on the RJC. You're a friend of mine, Norm Coleman. And I campaigned for Norm through 2 elections. I love the guy. He's the chairman of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Every Jew in America should go and investigate the RJC. They are the most effective voice for Republicans who are also Jewish or Jews who are thinking about becoming Republican. I can't say enough good things about the RJC. You've been the chairwoman, very successful chairwoman, for going on your 4th term. Have you worked with the RJC throughout it?
I have, and I'm going to be there next week. The RJC has a huge event in Las Vegas with all the presidential candidates coming. I go every year, but I've been close with Norm and Matt Brooks since the beginning of my time as chair. And by the way, Hugh, it changes your worldview when you actually go to Israel. When you're in Jerusalem, you're in East Jerusalem. When you're at the hub of every major religion, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, and it changes your whole life. I mean, that's how I felt when I went. And I was able to go because of the RJC. The Republican Jewish Coalition does great work, and they're great friends of ours, and the RNC's worked with them since my chairmanship began.
Well, it's unfortunate Matt Brooks doesn't know anything about football, but other than that, he's a fine guy. Chairwoman McDaniel, I want to play for...
Matt Brooks knows nothing about sports or football.
I agree. It's just a sad thing. I want to talk to you about the debates thus far and the debate coming forward. Are you happy with how they went? Because when Salem presented to the RNC and the subcommittee, I stressed, and I think Salem stressed, it should be about the 30 million Republican primary and caucus voters, not about the mainstream media. Are you happy with the first two? What are your expectations for number three?
I think what viewers need to understand as we go through this is when we go with a partner like Fox News, they have editorial control. They're paying for the debate. The RNC is not funding these debates. We're not taking money for campaigns to pay for these debates. And I think we're giving these candidates a phenomenal stage. Look at that stage right there to present their viewpoint. But then it's up to the candidates to sing. I say we give them the stage. It's up to them whether they can sing. And I think they've, it's the smallest debate stage we've seen, right? We had 15 still in the 2016 cycle. Now we're already down to 7. I think, there's some takeaways that you and I have talked about. We should have opening statements and closing statements on the next one, and we're talking to the next partner about that. But, Fox was a great partner. I think Salem's going to be a great partner. But mostly it's up to these candidates, and they've got to find a way to break through, and we're giving them that opportunity.
Now, when I talk to people about questions of debate, I try and illustrate the difference. John Carl's a friend of mine. I know John. I've worked with him at ABC. Yeah. He had Tim Scott on yesterday, and he asked this, quote, question, cut number 26.
You said that he has blood on his hands. I mean, with all due respect, that the blood is on the hands of Hamas. And to say that Joe Biden is complicit, which you also said, in the greatest, deadliest attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust, I mean, that's beyond the pale, isn't it?
All right, now, Ronna McDaniel, is that a question or is that a statement?
Oh, it's like, look at his outrage. He's like horrified. I mean, the bias is so evident. But I'll just say this, Hugh. We're going to have to take on legacy media, and we have to reach independent voters. So whatever they bring at you, push back. Be like, wow, your bias shows through, Jonathan. Really? Do you think $6 billion to Iran was a good idea? Do you think letting Iran have nuclear capability and getting back into that deal and working with the number one funder of terrorism with Hamas and giving Iran that money was a good idea? So yes, blood is on Joe Biden's hands. Saying that, just push back. I think sometimes we get too caught up in the question, and we've got to remember our response will break through no matter what network we're on. And we can't win the presidency without reaching independent voters. They are 42% of this country right now. We have a great opportunity during this debate cycle to reach them. So, push back, guys. Push back on these moderators, even if it's a Hugh Hewitt. Push back.
Yeah, no matter who it is, if they ask an unfair question. I remember Newt Gingrich in 2012.
Newt used to do this. Yeah, Newt Gingrich used to do this. He'd say, the premise of your question is flawed. Let me restate it. And that's what we've got to be able to do. And your bias is coming through because they are biased. I mean, and I think when you point that out, the audience will go, what? You're right. So that's part of it.
I will play Tim Scott's answer later on my grand old pod, but I want people to know that is the right way to do it. If it's framed the wrong way, if it's a statement instead of a question, we're not playing Jeopardy here. We're supposed to be asking questions that are fair and that are pointed but are fair. Now, Chairwoman, I want to switch gears while we have 2 minutes left. Virginia votes and Kentucky votes soon. And you've done a great job putting volunteers in the field and staff in the field on presidential and federal elections. You're barred from actually helping the Virginia State Party. But what do you think of the Youngkin and Winsome Sears and Mayorkas effort to get everybody to vote early in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, we can help in state elections, but I can't legally raise state dollars. So in Virginia, when a candidate can raise unlimited dollars and the state party can raise unlimited dollars, they just don't need the RNC. So I think Glenn Youngkin's done a great job. I will say this, Hugh, and warning flags for every candidate looking at 2024. If you look at the Democrat ads in Kentucky and Virginia, what are they running on? They're running on one thing. What do you think it is, Hugh?
Abortion.
Every single ad is abortion. It is, you should see the ads in Kentucky right now. A red state, right? This is a state Trump won. This is a state Republicans win. Everybody needs to know the playbook of the Democrats is to go in and say that Republicans won't give life-saving care for miscarriages or ectopic pregnancies, and they are going to demonize us. And my point to every candidate in every committee is, if you do not define yourself on this issue, the Democrats will do it for you. It's harder to dig yourself out of a hole than to define yourself up front. So spend money, talk about where you stand, make it clear that the Democrats are extreme. They want due date abortions. They want gender selection abortions. They're with China and North Korea. And then point out the differences, and then you can pivot to crime, the economy, fentanyl, all the other things voters care about. But I will say Democrats are doing this in Virginia and Kentucky, and it is all over TV. And our candidates right now are not talking about abortion. They're talking about crime or other issues.
And, well, every Republican I know believes one of two things. Either the decision ought to be left up to state to reflect state values, or there ought to be a federal standard that is either 12 or 15 weeks. Nobody believes anything but that. I mean, I think it's been asked and answered on the presidential stage a lot. What do you think?
Well, I think, one, we can't say the word ban. Don't let them use that word. That's their language, right? MAGA extremist ban, that's what they're going to say. We need to talk about the fact that the vast majority of Americans believe in common sense, humane limitations when a baby feels pain. And say to the Democrats, and most Republicans have said, I'm willing to go there. I may be personally more pro-life than this, but I believe that when a baby feels pain, that should be a place we don't go further than. And that's 15 weeks. That's where Europe is. And when you put the Democrats on the defense, watch, they won't come there. They're going to stay with their due date abortion and their extreme radical ideas on this issue.
Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel of the GOP, thank you for joining me early on this Monday morning. Much appreciated. I'm so glad the RJC is going to have you down at their gathering and that you selected them as a partner for the Salem NBC debate. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel.